Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this spell song show, a prelude of what is about to come on the 27th of April that we're all really excited about and will be back in the museum for. I'm Sandy Knapp. I'm a lover of plants and a botanist at the Natural History Museum. What I do in my day job as a museum is work on the nightshade family, which contains some of our best loved foods. Who could do without chips and ketchup, or in my case, maybe without chili? But the family also contains some plants that are woven about with magic and mystery, like the mandrake and the nightshade itself, as well as my specialty, which I absolutely love. I've also been lucky enough to be part of the museum's Urban Nature Project, which is so much more than a transformation of the grounds around the wonderful building where we'll all meet in April, but aims to make nature, and especially the fascinating nature that's all around us in cities, part of everyone's life, and to inspire all of us to act to protect it and the planet that we all share. Today saw the launch of the Dasgupta Review of the Economics of Biodiversity, and in that I was really heartened to hear Partha Dasgupta say that interventions that enable people to understand and connect with nature are essential for people making informed choices and for demanding the changes that we need to make this planet a better place. And the Urban Nature Project is very much part of that vision of making this a planet where both people and the planet thrive. So thank you so much to all of you donors who have supported us. This means a lot to us and to the Urban Nature Project. And this means actually we're all part of the same family. You are our family. Over the next half hour or so, we'll all share some exclusive performances, and afterwards there'll be a question and answer. So please submit your questions in the chat box, and we'll try to answer as many of them as we can at the end. Of course, we here at the museum couldn't do this without the wonderful team behind the Lost Words spell songs, some of whom you'll hear tonight, and they are absolutely magical. I can't wait. But first, I'd like to introduce Jackie Morris, illustrator and co-author of The Lost Words and the Lost Spells. Welcome, Jackie. It's really nice to be here with you this evening.
Hi, Sandy. It's lovely to be here with you all the way from Pembrokeshire, actually. Where it's been an amazing day today. I've just been for a walk on the beach, and that's why I look a tiny bit ragged, really.
Oh, but that's the best way to be, home from the beach with the wind in your hair. I had the wind in my hair in the streets of London and saw some really interesting plants poking their little noses up through the sidewalk cracks. So nature's all around us, isn't it?
Yeah, beautiful.
Well, we are going to start our show now, and we'll say goodbye to Jackie, at least in her physical presence for now. She will be here to answer questions at the end, though, so do please put your questions in the chat. For tonight's show, we'll start with Jackie and the red fox. This fox comes alive with her pencil and brush, but with some help from a spell.
I was never very good at spelling when I was young, but this is a different kind of spelling, and it's something that I've always enjoyed and worked hard at all of my life. And what I need to do really is speak a red fox spell. See if this works. So, I am Red Fox. How do you see me? A bloom of rust at your vision's edge. A shadow that slips through a hole in the hedge. My two green eyes in your headlights rush. A scatter of feathers. The tip of a brush. I am Red Fox. When do you hear me? A scream in the night that stops you dead. Dark, torn from dark, a bolt through the head. My sorrowful love song, howl my lover. My trash can clatter from twilight's cover. I am Red Fox. Where do you find me? In copse and spinney, ginnel and alley, for I haunt city as I haunt valley, climbing the fell side, crossing the pass, walking the high street bold as brass. But I am Red Fox. What do you call me? Shifter of shapes and garbage raider, bearer of fire and space invader, taker of risks and riddle maker, messenger, trickster, curfew breaker. I am Red Fox. Why do you need me? I am your double, your ghost, your other. Spirit of wild, the spirit of weather. Red is my fur, and red is my art. And red is the blood of your animal heart. So I was supposed to be conjuring foxes in the Natural History Museum with the Spell Songs group, but we can't do that. And I can't tell you how sad I am that this is not happening on the day. More that I am sad that our relationship with the natural world is so broken to have led us to this place where we can't travel, we can't perform, we can't have audiences, and so many people are suffering. So for now I practice spelling foxes, and doing it in this way. When I work on the stage I have to use big brush. It's much more immediate, with the paint flowing very loose. And at the moment I'm trying to catch in my mind's eye the shape of a fox. So just sketching that shape. It's more intimate doing it like this. It's like you're looking over my shoulder, I guess, which is a little bit unsettling for me because I don't usually have people in my studio. I'm not saying I don't talk to myself when I work, because I do. Anyway, I need to tighten this up.
Oh, Jackie, that's so wonderful. And we'll see Jackie finishing off the Red Fox later in the show, so stay tuned. It's now my privilege to introduce the creator of the words and co-author with Jackie of The Lost Words and the Lost Spells, Robert Macfarlane, whose words conjure up images of nature so beautifully that you could close your eyes and just see it in your mind's eye.
Hello, everyone. Well, I'm very sorry not to be with you all in the Natural History Museum this evening. So in place of that, I thought I would read a spell of energy and hope and happiness and joy. The Greek noun for otters is a romp of otters. And 2020 has not been a year of much romping, of much joy. So I thought I'd read you the otter spell. And as you can see, I decided to join the otters in their element as I did so. So here goes. Otter. Otter enters river without falter. What a supple slider out of halt and into water. This shape shifter's a sheer breath taker, a sure heart stopper, but you'll only ever spot a shadow flutter, bubbles skeen, and never, almost never, actual otter. This swift swimmer's a silver miner. With trout its oar, it bores each black pool deep and deeper, delves up current steep and steeper, turns the water inside out, then inside outer. Ever dreamed of being otter? That utter underwater thunderbolter, that shimmering twister. Run to the riverbank, otter dreamer, slip your skin and change your matter, pour your outer being into otter, and enter now as otter without falter into water.
Didn't that just make you feel like you were there, romping in the water with that romp of otters? You could close your eyes and be there. The words of the spells are, of course, an inspiration for the music, but the music depends upon the images as well. The spell songs are a fusion of so many things, just like nature itself. So many people think of only of animals when they think about wildlife, but plants are such an important part of the ecosystems that sustain all of animal life. They're way more than just background. Rob quite rightly talks about trees as our co-citizens. Acorns grow from tiny nuts to giant oak trees that form our woodlands. I'd now like to introduce Rachel Newton with our first song dedicated to that wonderful plant in its smallest form.
Hi, I'm Rachel Newton. I'm one of the Lost Words spell singers, and I'm really so looking forward to coming down to London and performing in such an iconic space. It's great to be able to sing our songs about nature in this space that is just celebrates the natural world in such a beautiful way. So really looking forward to it. And yeah, I'm going to sing you one of the songs from our first album. It's called Acorn, and I'm sure you'll recognise the words.
As flake as to blizzard, as carve as to sphere, as not as to net, as one as to many, as coin as to money, as bird as rock is to mountain, as drop is to fountain, as spring is to river, as glint is to glitter, as near is to far, as wind is to weather, as feather is to flight, as light is to star, as kindness is to good. So acorn is to wood.
What changes an oak tree would have seen in its long life from an acorn? As one of my very favorite poets, Mary Oliver, says, the oak tree loves patience. And hopefully we can all together create some changes for the better for those acorns who'll be just starting their life's journey this spring. Our next song is played for us by Jim Molyneux. This spell song is inspired by one of our wonderful farmland birds, the skylark, a creature so small and drab that it can pass completely unnoticed until they fly high and sing. A group of skylarks is called an exaltation, a perfect word for what Jim will play for us.
Hi everyone, this is Jim from Lost Words Spell Songs. We're going to be performing for you on the 27th of April at the Natural History Museum in London. Thanks so much to those who've already donated. I'm going to sing you a little song now. This one's called Little Astronaut. If you tune in on the 27th, you'll hear the full band play this song, but due to Corona, this one's just going to be little old me. So here we go, this is Little Astronaut. Little astronaut, where have you gone? And how is your song still tumbling on? Are you short of breath up there in thin air? Your magical song still tumbling on. Right now, I need you. Right now, I need you. Right now, I need you. For my sadness has come again. My heart, it grows flattered, so I'm coming to find you. Coming to find you by following song. Right now, I need you. Right now, I need you. Right now, I need you. For my sadness has come again. Keeping on to deep space, past the dying stars and suns. Little astronaut sing, little astronaut sing, little astronaut sing, little astronaut sing. Right now, I need you. Right now, I need you. Right now, I need you. For my sadness has come again. Little astronaut, where have you gone? And how is your song still tumbling on?
That lovely spell song always makes me think not only of skylarks, but also of that image of Earth from space taken by the Apollo 8 astronauts, that fragile blue and green orb floating in the black of the universe, our planet, so fragile, but yet so resilient. The Urban Nature Project will both tell the story of life on Earth and also inspire us all with ways in which to take individual actions to help keep it resilient into the future. That red fox that Jackie was drawing is a most resilient and adaptable creature. Let's watch Jackie finish off her telling of the red fox.
So I'm going to give you the spell once more, which was written by Robert Macfarlane. And It's a spell for conjuring a red fox. I am red fox. How do you see me? A bloom of rust at your vision's edge, a shadow that slips through a hole in the hedge, my two green eyes in your headlights rush, scatter of feathers, the tip of a brush. I am red fox. When do you hear me? A scream in the night that stops you dead. Dark, torn from dark, a bolt through the head. My sorrowful love song howled to my lover. Trash can clatter from twilight's cover. I am red fox, where do you find me? In copse and spinney, in ginnel and alley, for I haunt city as I haunt valley, climbing the fell side, crossing the pass, walking the high street bold as brass. I am red fox. I am red fox. What do you call me? Shifter of shapes and garbage raider, bearer of fire, space invader, taker of risks and riddle maker, messenger, trickster, curfew breaker. I am red fox. Why do you need me? I am your double, your ghost, your other, the spirit of wild, the spirit of weather. Red is my fur, and red is my art, and red is the blood of your animal heart. As I said, it is practice, and I can't remember whether I missed out a verse on that one. It's hard to split your head between the shape of a fox and the words, but this is why we practice. And this is what many people don't understand, that art is not about talent. It is about practice. It's about learning. It's about doing it over and over again. Until you feel that you're getting somewhere near to right. But you know what? That perfection that you chase every time you pick up a brush is always just slightly out of reach. And you know what? That's what makes you pick up a brush over and over again. I am red fox. Why do you need me? I am your double, your ghost, your other, the spirit of wild, the spirit of weather. Red is my fur, and red is my art, and red is the blood of your animal heart.
Oh, Jackie, those foxes are so beautiful. I love the way that between them they make the most gorgeous heart. So, Jackie, welcome back. It's so fantastic to have you here. It was really nice to watch you painting the red fox and to hear the spell 2 times, maybe even 2.5, which really makes it come alive in my heart. Jackie has very, very generously donated this beautiful piece, which you just saw her painting, to the Natural History Museum in aid of our fundraising efforts towards the ambitious and exciting Urban Nature Project. Just look at that heart. Oh, it's so lovely. We're delighted to announce that the piece will be open to bids from now until the 9th of February as part of an exclusive silent auction. Please visit www.nhm.ac.uk/auction for further details. Thank you so much, Jackie. That's a wonderful thing that you've given us to help us with the Urban Nature Project. You know, something that struck me while you were painting that fox is your comment that art is not about talent, it's about practice. And you know, that's true of science as well. All of us are scientists in one way or another, but in a career in science, you learn something new every day and you practice it every day through observation and just praxis, doing things over and over again until you do them so well that they become part of your everyday movements. So maybe that art-science divide isn't really a thing. What do you think?
I don't think there is a divide, really. I think there is so much about both that is art, really. I remember when I was at college, I studied Stanley Spencer as one of the artists that I loved. And he always said that you should go about every task in your day as if you were, as if it were a piece of art. And if you can put that kind of focus onto things, it makes life better somehow. But so many people say, "Oh, you're so talented," but all I have really is a hunger to damage pieces of paper with watercolor and things like that. And it's a real compulsion. So while we've been talking and rehearsing, I've been doodling and
oh, how lovely!
Practicing.
I want you to doodle in my Mary Oliver books, please.
Yeah, I've been practicing all the time for because it's such a hard thing to be on stage. You know, I'm not a natural performer. I paint in the seclusion of my own home, and I cannot wait to be in that central hall beneath that whale, which always makes me cry, which is going to be the problem that I have, because it's hard to paint and cry at the same time. You know, that
the watercolors in it.
Oh yeah, I'll catch the tears and use it to mix with
like mermaids' tears, like mermaids' tears.
Yeah.
I know that tonight we have watching us some viewers from Willowbrook Primary School in London and Plymouth Grove Primary School in Manchester tonight with us. And, you know, we've both seen some of your work, and boy, I was so impressed.
Yes.
Keep practicing and you will be artists and botanists one day. I can just tell. I think that's true. Don't you, Jackie? There's so much there.
One of the things that I've loved during the life of the Lost Words is seeing the work that children do, inspired by it, the writing, painting, the interest and the focus, just absolutely glorious.
It's that love of nature, because how can we ever aim to protect anything that we don't love? So part of making this a planet that's really resilient and goes forward is starting that love affair with nature, which is so beautifully portrayed in the spell songs, the lost words, and also in the music of the spell song singers.
Oh, and just isn't that amazing listening to Rachel and Jim? They're just I miss my musical family so much.
I can't wait to meet everyone in true life, as my children used to say.
Each of them, you know, their lives has been hours and hours and hours of practicing with their instruments until they make things look easy, and I know it's not. But how amazing to be able to sing nature into being in the way that they do.
So let's take a look, Jackie, and see what kinds of questions we have. Ooh, there's lots of them. First up, we have a question from Lindsay. How does the collaboration work? Words, then art, art, then words, or do you work on them simultaneously, Jackie?
With Rob, we talk a lot. So usually we're emailing each other all the time, and we knock ideas backwards and forwards. And then he will, if we talk about otter, the otter spell dropped into my inbox, and that was one of the early ones. So that was so fresh, so new, that way of reading. I would then carry it around with me for a while, and I do find that they have claws. The words, they kind of stick in your brain, and then paints. But also with Dandelion, Rob was really struggling to find the way into Dandelion. And I was panicking because I needed to paint from the dandelions while they were out. So I just got on with it, painted, and then he drew the words from my paintings.
So it's a bit of both, just like nature.
It's both. It's drawing and painting. It's both together. And this now we're working on a book of birds, and just looking, but I seem to have lost a painting, which I was just about.
It can't be gone far.
It's probably around somewhere. But yes, the Book of Birds is happening in the same way. So it really, it's incredibly collaborative. And then with the music, I just sit and watch the musicians spin magic. It's just amazing.
Bring all of those things, that the images in your head and the words spinning around. It is like nature. It's a fusion of many things.
One of the things that happened with that, though, was with the Lost Spells, the musicians had changed words for the snow hare, and then Rob rewrote. So the music then inspired the Lost Spell of the snow hare.
So hard to tell. Yeah. It's just all there together, isn't it?
Yeah.
So wonderful. Neil has a question, and he'd like to know what plants used to live on Exhibition Road 100,000 years ago. I think that might be one for me as a botanist. And you know, Britain is a really interesting place because we often think about plants as being native to Britain, but Britain was covered in ice sheets in the Pleistocene during the great ice ages. So everything we have here came from somewhere else. But 100,000 years ago, the plants that would have been on Exhibition Road would have been a bit like the plants that we have today, but not quite as many things that have come from Africa and South America and things that have come from places far, far removed. And there probably would have been more grassland because it would have been much colder then than it is now. But it certainly, there would have been more plants, but maybe not more species. It's hard to tell. And one of the things we'll tell in the Urban Nature Project is that story of what was in London in the even more far distant past through some of the fossils which are part of a formation which is called the London clay, which is super interesting and is about the rise of flowering plants, which is fascinating. So Sylvan, age 7, would like to ask Jackie, if you, Jackie, could be any one of the Lost Words creatures, which would you be and why? And which is your favorite spell song and why? Do you have a favorite?
It moves and changes, but I love shape-shifting, and when I was young I would have loved to have been an otter and slip my skin and change my matter and pour my outer being into otter. And then this music, no, it changes with all of it. I love the whole of the Spell Songs album. I couldn't take one piece out and just say this song is my favorite.
You know, the painting, you know, the words and the pictures that I love in Spell Songs is the one about thrift. A beautiful pink flower that's on the beaches. I love them all, actually. And it's true that each one takes you at a different time of the day. Sandra and Dave have asked another question about plants, which again is probably one for me, is how many species of plants will be in the garden, please? Well, golly, that's a hard one, because one of the things we're going to do with the Urban Nature Project and the garden in the front of the museum is we're going to let parts of it just become what they become. So we're not going to plant things and then weed everything out. We're going to kind of think about how nature and how resilience works. So I think we'll have several hundred, but don't quote me on that, because it'll wax and wane with things, just like nature does. It waxes and wanes and things change over time. And so that will certainly happen. But we're hoping to increase the diversity of different species on the grounds hugely, and also open up the beautiful wildlife garden to become much more of a part of bringing the inside out and the outside in to the museum. So there's a question from Maya, Noah, and Lotta for you, Jackie, because they would like to know, when did you start painting, and do you have any secret tips for aspiring young artists beyond perhaps practicing?
Now then, I realized that I wanted to be an artist when I was 6, but mostly then I drew, and I didn't really start painting until I was in my 20s. I really struggled to learn the language of paint, I think. I think different people paint in different ways. I use watercolors, which you can layer up on top of each other. Sometimes I paint with very, very tight detail, and other times I paint much more loosely. And this is beautiful, beautiful handmade paper, which has a real texture and a tooth to it. And I think the only way to learn is to just do it. And the main thing you need to be aware of is that you will make mistakes. And making mistakes is how you learn. I think our education system, the way that it is, has kind of knocked out that from children, from teachers. The only way you can learn things is to do it, and you will get it wrong. And then the next time you'll get something else wrong.
But sometimes wrong isn't wrong. Sometimes wrong is just a different way of looking at something as well.
But it's being able to see that as well. You know, I often I have an image in my mind's eye, and if I cannot get that, I feel like I've failed, and then I walk away and come back to it and see it as it is, not how I wanted it to be.
Yeah, I think that's I love that idea that and I also like the idea kind of that mistakes are not bad. Mistakes are powerful, positive things.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I just touched something on my computer.
So you're still here. You're still here. Don't worry.
I'm fine.
Here's a question from Claire, which I'll give. This is one that I think we can both kind of contribute to. Is Claire asked us how we can foster a love of art and nature in our schools. And actually, one of the things that struck me today in the Dasgupta report, which was being spoken about by Partha Dasgupta, is that we really need to get nature back into the education system. Nature has fallen away, as has art, from our education system, and it needs to be back in there. So as parents, we need to work to make that happen. What do you think, Jackie?
I think we need to be guided by our children, because I think children have an innate love for the natural world, and they also they have that sense of awe about everything and how amazing things are. And we need them to take us by the hands and give us a good shake and go, just stop and just look and just tell me, how does this acorn turn into a forest? How does a tree get into there? And look what a tree gives home to. And, kids, that's who we need to learn from again, I think.
Is the hours that you can spend with, I spent with my children just watching tiny little things like a beetle walk along the grass or something. And sometimes we're in such a hurry that we don't spend the time to just watch.
Yeah. And reignite the sense of awe that we all had as children. It's still there. It's just that the busyness, it gets pushed down by nonsense that is just so. I haven't listened to the news for a while, but sometimes you just think, as I live on a different planet to these people. Urban nature is just astonishing. When the Lost Words first came out, a lot of people said, oh, it's all very well, but if you live in the middle of a town or a city, you won't see anything. But I remember being in London, listening to blackbirds singing the dawn chorus, walking through a park and finding red foxes, squirrels, so many birds, and
so many little plants everywhere coming up in the sidewalk cracks. There's a big movement in London now to stop spraying the sidewalks in many boroughs, and we've done that on where I live. And the extraordinary diversity of things that come up in the sidewalk cracks and in the edges they're just beautiful. They look a bit, raggedy, like when people come in from the beach, but there they are, and they're beautiful in their own way. And I even found a nightshade on the corner of my street this summer. I was so
and wonderful urban beekeepers, just the most amazing people making magic in the middle of cities.
Yeah, cities are alive with all kinds of things. We just need to slow down and look. We have a question here from Andrew, which actually takes us back to the art. And I think this is a point that's worth making as many times as we can. Is Andrew asks, what advice would you, Jackie, give to children who are put off drawing and think they're poor drawers because they feel that their work is not realistic enough?
It's hard, isn't it, when you're told that your work isn't very good, or you can always look around and see somebody who can paint better than you, and I still feel that sometimes, but I just have a hunger to mark paper. I think I would never go into a school and say, look, you're doing this wrong. Take the brush off them and start showing them how to do it. I think everybody has a unique way of seeing, and I think you need to. It's fostering a pride in their own voice. I think this is how I see the world. It's not more right than how you do. There's
also that thing about looking at art. Yeah. Because the act of looking is also part of the art itself.
Yes. Well, for painting, it is, drawing is just about seeing and looking at something as if you've seen it for the first time. The first time I really understood that was with the European artists who went to Australia. And whereas we had a whole history of drawing horses in Europe, who'd seen a kangaroo?
I know. We'll go see that when you're in the museum in April.
There's no way of saying this is what a drawing of a kangaroo should look like. You have to really look at the shape of that creature as if for the first time. And you have to do that with everything you paint, really. You have to really, really, if you want a realistic looking drawing, you have to look really closely. but it doesn't have to be realistic.
Because you might not be wanting to say, because in a way, for me, art is partly about wanting to say something, and how you say it might not be realistic. It might be a different kind of vision.
And my foxes, really, they're all about color at the moment.
Well, I love their heart. I love the heart they make together. I think that's so wonderful. I didn't notice that when I first saw you doing that painting, and then I realized it's a heart. It's marvelous. So do you have a favorite animal to paint?
That's like saying, what's your favorite child?
I know. Question.
I do love painting bears, but polar bears. I love painting polar bears. I don't understand why. I didn't grow up with polar bears, but I did want to be a bear when I grew up. But that's another story. I love hares, the shape of a hare. And I do love foxes, which is fortunate because between now and the end of April, I will be more or less drawing foxes all day, most days, and going out looking for them as well.
A bevy of foxes.
Foxes and owls.
Very nice.
Yeah, cheetahs. I love cheetahs. I love that line from their eye down to their mouth.
They're kind of they're cold. They're sort of their eyeshadow. It's absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
And the sleek shape of them, and the way they hold their heads steady when they run.
Very, very regal. Very wonderful animals. Well, they're all fantastic, and I think
moths. I love moths.
They're beautiful. Their moths are beautiful. Yeah, the moths in the spell song, in the Lost Spells, are absolutely gorgeous. All those wonderful names of moths. So I'm afraid we're actually running out of time. And I know you and I could sit here and talk for ages, and we could probably answer questions for ages. And I'm sure people have lots more questions, but we look forward to kind of hearing from all of you again in April. So before we move on to the final performance, I want to thank all of you here tonight so much again for your support for the museum and for the Urban Nature Project, and for tuning in tonight to share this prelude with us. We really look forward to sharing the main show with you on the 27th of April in the Natural History Museum. And thank you, Jackie, so much for joining me tonight. And Jackie, if you wouldn't mind introducing this final piece for us, this particular spell song always brings tears to my eyes. And they're not tears of sadness, they're tears of joy, because this music brings alive to me the luck I have to share this planet with so much beauty and wonder. And I'd like you to introduce it, please.
This is tremendous privilege. The spell songs family, which I now think of them are the most amazing people. And I watched this song grow out of silence and into sound. And it is a call to link arms and be the singer and the song and get out there and take care of our world, because we only have one. It is the Lost Words blessing, and it's always good to leave people with a blessing. So this is for everybody out there listening.
Enter the wild with care, my love, and speak the things you see. Let new names take and root and thrive and grow. And even as you travel far from heather, crag and river, may you, like the little fisher, set the stream alight with glitter. May you enter now as otter, without falter, into water. Look to the sky with care, my love, and speak the things you see. Let new names take and root and thrive and grow. And even as you journey on, past dying stars exploding like the gilded one in flight, little gifts of light. And in the dead of night, my darling, find the gleaming eye of starling. Like the little aviator, sing your heart to all dark matter. Walk through the world with care, my love, and sing the things you see. Let new names take and root and thrive and grow. And even as you stumble through Machar sands eroding, let the fern unfurl your grieving. Let the heron still your breathing. Let the silky swim you deeper, oh my little silver speaker. Even as the hour grows bleaker, be the singer and the speaker. And in city and in forest, let the larks become your chorus. And when every hope is gone, let the raven call